Hey guys, this is a video about adding and subtracting rational numbers, and I called it Remix because the channel has some other videos about adding and subtracting, but I wanted to make a new one that kind of reflected what we've done in class, so this should be a good review for you. Adding integers, guys, is something that's pretty easy for students when it comes to a problem like this, and then sometimes when it's like this, we kind of freak out a little bit. But guys, this is really the same idea. Let me show you why. 3 plus a negative 5, think about your number line. Start at 3. We're adding a negative, which means we move to the left 5 hops. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So our answer is negative 2. Remember, in class we talked about how we can change subtraction sentences to addition to make it easier. So when I say 3 minus 5, it's the same thing as adding the opposite. So 3 minus 5 is the same thing as 3 plus a negative 5. So it's the same idea. These two problems are mathematically equivalent. Okay, another example, guys. Again, these two ideas are exactly the same, so I don't want you to be confused either way you see it. So negative 3 plus 2, going to start out at negative 3. We're adding a positive 2, so we're going to move to the right 2 hops. And our answer is negative 1. Okay, again, this is the same idea. Let me show you why. Whenever we subtract a negative, it's the same thing as adding the opposite. So negative 3 minus negative 2 is the same thing as adding the opposite of negative 2, which is positive 2. So again, start at negative 3. Adding a positive 2 moves us to the right, and our answer again is negative 1. Okay, another way to think of kind of the same idea. You may say, well, why do we change subtracting a negative to adding? I want you to think about when a teacher has given you a test, and maybe at the top it says minus 5. Well, that means if it's out of 100, you have 95 points. Well, let's say maybe the teacher says, oh, that was a mistake, okay? You really got those 5 points. Well, imagine she's going to take away that minus 5. So this is what it would look like as a math sentence. 95 minus, or taking away, those minus 5 points. If she takes away those minus 5 points, your score is back at 100. So remember, we've been rewriting our subtraction sentences into addition to make them a little easier for us. That's why subtracting a negative is the same idea as adding a positive. Okay, one more idea, absolute value. This is a card that has been on the word wall for a while, so if it is not in your vocabulary book, you need to write this vocabulary term. Absolute value just means how far it is from 0. So the reason we talk about absolute value when we're adding and subtracting integers is it helps us know whether our answer is going to be a positive or a negative. So here's 2 examples. Negative 5 plus a positive 7, remember this is a positive 7, invisible, is going to be equal to a positive 2. So remember, I'm adding a positive, I take 7 hops over here. I crossed over 0, so I'm at a positive 2. Okay, the next one's just a little bit different. Okay, I'm starting out at positive 5 this time. So up here, and I'm adding a negative 7. So I'm taking 7 hops over this way. Okay, so this time I ended up at negative 2. So sometimes students say 2, but they have a hard time deciding whether it's positive or negative. You can look at your number line. but the underlying idea here, guys, is absolute value. Notice that we've got 5 and 7, okay? Well, 7 is bigger than 5. So look at this. 7 is positive. Our answer is positive. 7 is negative. Our answer is negative. Think about a tug of war. Who's going to win, the negatives or the positives? Absolute value, we use bars up and down. So when I say absolute value and I use these bars, that's what I'm talking about. The absolute value of negative 7 is 7. Oops. Okay, it takes me 7 hops to get to 0. And the absolute value of positive 7 is also 7. Okay, so make sure that goes in your vocab book. Okay, I've got 4 examples for you to try, so I'd like you to copy these down into your composition notebook and take them back to your seat and work them out. Notice this one is a little bit tougher, but I know you can do it.